and looking at it from the perspective that you're taking all responsibility in lieu of saying, well, you did this to me and I had this reaction to you. But you're essentially suggesting that from your definition, the reaction is what it is that I control, and that's how I make myself responsible and take control. And so to go back to the suggestion I had, I'm trying to watch my diet. I want to, live healthy. Well, that's great, except I'm going out to dinner. Well, how do I take control? Make a good, healthy choice at dinner. Skip dessert and just have coffee. Right? Yeah. You could still go out, still be social, still enjoy the company. Right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So it's all about choices. It kind of goes to my chapter in Women Who Dream, 2 choices. There are literally only 2 choices if you're taking 100% responsibility. Do it or don't do it. Right. Go or stop. Stuck or unstuck. There's only 2 choices. We complicate it and we mask it because we really don't want to say what we really mean. If we would just say what we really mean and everybody, didn't take everything personally, it wouldn't be a big deal. Oh, okay. You don't want to go? Cool. Next time. That's
most people. So not to interrupt you, but that's a great point. You're trying to kind of yes or no, go or no. People play the middle, right?
Yeah, it's easy.
I'd like to do this. Let me think about it. I'm not sure if I can. I think I might.
Ooh, I wish I could.
Sounds great, but I not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, which is an answer you would give because you too take responsibility. You're more of a, hey, no, it's not really my thing, but you have fun. I'm gonna step out on this one. Maybe we can do blah blah instead another time. Or maybe we can do something another time. That is where you're taking responsibility of your life and your responses. You're being transparent in a way that's being kind too. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be, beat him with a bat, and you don't have to be unkind, but you can also take a position. And being wishy-washy, staying in the middle, that's just a bunch of excuses. They're justifiable excuses that make it easier. People hide behind that and say, well, I didn't want to be mean. I want to be nice. Well, you could be nice and still say that doesn't work for me.
And I want to capture that for a minute, because people sometimes use the excuse that to be brutally honest. You do not need to be brutally honest. You can be honest without being brutal. And you're answering and taking responsibility. You can answer in a nice way and be direct. You can be clear, right? Brutality doesn't necessarily have to go along with honesty.
Yeah, I think that's an expression, brutally honest. It's just that means that somebody's giving you an answer you don't want to hear. Think about it. That's another excuse, being brutally honest. It's like, well, can I tell you the truth on this? No, lie to me. I like it. Why even use that expression? It's a terrible, horrible expression. I was like, why? Have you been lying to me? Is my reaction. I'm like, what? Oh, you want to be honest with me now because you haven't been in the past? So there are expressions that we use that we need to really be mindful of the language that we use. Not from a sensitivity point, but from a clarity point. Right. Just think if we were clearer, we were more direct and stopped being wishy-washy, sitting in the middle. That's taking the easy road. And that goes back to the blame game. Oh, it's the government. Oh, it was my teachers. Oh, it was my parents. Oh, it's my spouse or my partner. Oh, how about you taking some responsibility? If we take, and here's the challenge. If you took 5% more responsibility on a daily basis, do you think you would see more success?
Absolutely. It's all taking it on and saying yes.
Yeah. And that's the important part, is now we're taking a moment to recognize what part we play in everything, as opposed to looking to point to everyone else. Now we're not blaming everybody else. We are part of the game. All of us are part of life, and all of us are in this together. And we keep talking about them. Who is them? It's you. It starts with you and ends with you. Gandhi says change happens starting with ourselves. So that change, going within ourselves and looking at how we're looking at life and working in life and interacting in life, changes everything on a different, it's just a different game. It's a game changer.
I think that part of that 100% responsibility is when you take responsibility, you are taking the outcome on yourself. And if you don't know the outcome, there's probably a level of fear in there. Or if you do know that the outcome was, the result of your behavior or your actions, then again, now I'm dealing with failure. And that, I think folks have a hard time with that. That's what makes them, I'm not responsible for this.
Yeah, well, it gives them arms off. It's that wishy situation. It gives them justifiable excuse, right? So we're going to come back. You're listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. We're going to continue this conversation with our co-host, our great friend, Vince Perrotta. And we're going to just take a quick break, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne. And if you'd like to be a guest, lift up your business or product or non-for-profit, please send us an email at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. Or if you have questions or comments and you just want to chat with us, we love talking to you all. It's again, healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. We're here having this great conversation about taking 100% responsibility. You know, I love this conversation. I love this topic. It's something that I speak to with all of my clients, taking that 100% responsibility with the wonderful, amazing Vince Perrotta. I love having you on, Vince. So where did we leave off? We left off at...
I was asking you a little bit about, I think one of the things that people have is a bit of trepidation, because if I take 100% responsibility, there's a level of fear that goes in with that, because if the outcome isn't good, right? If there's failure involved, I took 100% responsibility and now I failed. And that feels uncomfortable as a human.
Ooh, yeah, because our schooling system in the United States and our culture looks at failure as a bad thing. You failed the course, you failed this, you failed that. I'm going to hopefully change your lens on failure. Failure is actually an opportunity. Success, we've already accomplished it. Failure is an opportunity to learn something, change it, and be successful at it, right? So if we look at failure as an opportunity, it doesn't feel so bad, right? It's a mindset. All of this is mindset. 100% responsibility is mindset, having a different mindset about how we show up in the world, how we show up for ourselves. So failure is not a bad thing. It may be in school because it's a grading system and stuff like that, but in life, it's not, unless we don't learn from our failure and try to make some changes to see how we can turn that failure into a success. And I kind of do this with the word fail. Fail is, if you take the I, and I learned this from Lisa Nichols, if you take the I and you give it a little foot, it's fall. And failure is an opportunity to fall forward. It allows you to move forward and learn from your mistakes. Now, I know somebody who would repeat that same mistake over and over and over again. And I will guarantee you, universe, God, source, however your higher power is you're supposed to learn that lesson, you're going to keep failing until you do something different. It's almost like the Groundhog Day effect. You know, where it's same day, doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. And if you ever watch the movie Groundhog's Day for this specific context, watch that movie if you haven't, because it shows you as he adjusted how he responded, he got different outcomes, and he was trying to manipulate the outcome to be a certain outcome. And his goal changed as he changed his response. So if you ever watch that, he was manipulating how he responded, and he was getting a better response, and he was getting a better outcome. And so that's what we can do in life. We can change how we respond. So if we normally respond like a crazy lunatic, maybe if we responded calm, maybe you get a different outcome. Now, sometimes us with the Italian, hand talking and the Italian, energy, we sound like a lunatic all the time. Even when we think we're calm, it reads as crazy. So, and that's okay. I know that in my culture.
I don't know what you're talking about. So just relax.
Just relax. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, I understand that form of falling forward. Does that make sense?
I do. And it's kind of interesting because as I was listening to you, what came to my mind is, you think about when you were a kid and you had to go, you're part of whatever sport you played. And for my daughter, if you were a young woman in dance, right, there was all those classes and practices, and you went and you went and you went. So you did the same thing over and over again. And I was thinking about all all those failures in the class.
Yeah.
Right, where you made the wrong step, you made the wrong play, you weren't hitting the ball, whatever it was. All those things were failures that allowed you to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I guess that helps you get over that responsibility. So when you are in the actual performance or in the game or whatever it was that you chose to do, all those failure, and I'm purposely calling them failures, though they weren't, but all
those misses,
right, it gave you the opportunity to perfect what you're doing, and it carries over to business.
Oh, yeah. So these principles carry through life. You use the word wrong. None of our choices are wrong. They just end in a different outcome. So there are consequences for decisions, right? So there are consequences. If for your daughter, for example, when she was doing those dances and she was in the practice, there was a certain outcome they were looking for, a certain step at a certain time they were looking for.
Yes.
So that's what made, when she didn't achieve that, that's what made it wrong or a failure. But it wasn't bad or wrong because she knew that it wasn't what they were trying to achieve. It wasn't what they were trying to accomplish. And what happened was, over time and repetitiveness, they finally got there, or ultimately got there. So there's the success in it. And I'm not being, perky poly positive here. I'm being honest. If we're being kind to ourselves, this is bad talk that we talk to ourselves, that we learn how to talk to ourselves, because we hear these words failure and fail, and it's wrong and it's right or wrong. And there's no such thing. You're always doing exactly what you're supposed to do. So look at it this way. Had she not taken those missteps, she wouldn't have practiced as much, right? In order to get her where she was, to get to the point where the teacher said, this is what the choreography is, and this is where we'd like you to achieve. And the reason being is the teacher knew that once she achieved these dance steps and these orders, this beautiful dance would be performed, right? And then from those skill sets that she learned, she was able to do higher skill sets. So was it really wrong that she was having those missteps? No, she was learning. And that's how we get good at things. We learn. Look at the basketball player who was refused by his coach in his school. And they said, yeah, no, you're not making the team. You're terrible. And they were like, oh, heck no. And they went home and they practiced and practiced and practiced. And when they came back and tried out, they got on the team and now is one of the best basketball players in the world.
Well, and that's to that point. It's that repetition. It's that, let's go back to that word. It's that responsibility that you take for your performance and for yourself. And you make a different decision. You could quit, right? You could say that the coach is, coach not giving me a shot.
Blame.
Standing in my way.
Blame.
Yeah, I play with other players. I'm on an offensive line, and I keep getting called for a penalty, but it's because my teammates are not giving me
Blame.
The block that I'm supposed to get in order to, there's always, like, you can always look for somebody else. You keep saying blame, and I'm glad you did, because that's exactly what all of that is.
Blame, excuses. It's the same thing.
All the same.
Yeah. As
like
opposed
that, and
to,
it's like that in business. I think that's the carryover. That's the codicil. We can use that learning in business.
yeah. So look at this. And this is right out of my life, literally. And I've spoken about this, I don't know on this show, but I know I've spoken about it before. But a great discovery that I came up with was in a big failure that I had, right? So I'm sitting there on a Wednesday afternoon, folding laundry, making justifiable excuses to myself that this is an important thing I have to finish because it's for my family, right? So I'm folding laundry and I'm like, why am I doing this? Because I'm telling you, Vince, hot pins in my eyes. I don't like doing folding laundry. I don't like it. I pay anybody. I can't tell you how much just to do it for me. I don't like it. So anyway, I'm there doing that justifiable excuse. And I sat there and I was like, why am I doing this in the middle of the week on a Wednesday when I should be working in my office right now? And what I concluded was, what am I avoiding? So when I'm doing something that's an excuse, a justifiable excuse, what am I avoiding? Am I avoiding taking responsibility? Am I avoiding taking action? And I was avoiding, in that circumstance, I was avoiding making a phone call. And I was fearful of the result. I was fearful of a rejection. So I was doing anything else but make that phone call. And I couldn't do anything else relative to that work until I made that phone call, because that phone call was the next step. But it was big for me. It was important to me. And I was like, if I delay this, then I won't get the no. But that doesn't change the answer. A no is a no day one or 2.5 weeks later that I was sitting there folding laundry. Right. And so I forced myself to take action, go up to my office, make that phone call. And after 2.5 weeks of agonizing myself and distracting myself and making justifiable excuses and thinking all the worst case scenarios, it was an easy yes. They were like, yeah, sure. Which was annoying to me because I had spent all that time, with all the things, all the reasons I could give them for doing it with me. And I didn't have to use one of them.
But it was fear of failure.
Fear of failure, fear of rejection.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you think about it, your fear of failure precluded you from doing that, which not only stopped you from that specific activity, but it delayed you doing all the other things that